Good day, everyone. Welcome to another insightful moment with Grace and Young, where we discuss issues on estate planning and wealth management. My name is BTV Akeke. I'm the CEO and founder of Grace and Young Wealth Management and Estate Planning Company, and also the lead partner of BSY Legal. Today we'll be talking on a very important issue, which is appointment of executors. The question we're asking today is, who are meant to be appointed as executors, or who are the right persons for you to consider when it comes to appointment of executors? Now, we would not tell you how to go about it in terms of who to appoint and who not to appoint, because that would be very unfair to some people. However, we will give you some guidelines that you would have to consider when it comes to appointing of executors. The first of these guidelines is avoid appointing anyone based on sentiments. A lot of us find ourselves in that mix when we have to think about a lot of other issues and shy away from the fundamentals. So, what are these sentiments? Some people say, oh, what will people say? What will people say? The truth of the matter is, it is your estate. It is your property. It is your will. You are the one who will determine the person to appoint. You are the one who will determine the right person that can do the job. First and foremost, let me say this, that being an executor is a responsibility. It is a duty that you have to execute. It is a duty that you have to carry out. It is not a tea party. It is not a property. It is not a bequest. So there is no reason to fight over the role of an executor. So you do not really have to put that in mind when thinking or considering who is best suited for that position, that role. Another issue that people think about is, because he's my husband, I would rather appoint him as my executor. And the husband will say, okay, because he's my wife, let me just consider appointing her as my executor, even though in your heart you know, or you think, or you believe that that spouse of yours is not the appropriate person to function in that capacity. Some people say, oh, he is our first son, he is our first child, she is our first child, so we must not let her out. We must not leave her out of the picture. She is the right person to be the executor. The truth of the matter is that is a wrong approach in determining who your appropriate executors should be. Oh, some people say, oh, it is a sign of my love for this person. Another set of persons will say, oh, it is the way I will show how close we were as friends. No, all of these sentiments need to be taken away. You need to focus, you need to face the truth. Who can do the job? So take sentiments away, take sentiment out of the mix when considering who the right persons to appoint as your executors are. Now, we need to also mention at this point that being an executor is not a birthright. It's not a birthright. Anyone can act in that capacity. But there are certain things that must be considered before you appoint such persons. Now, the next guideline we would like to give is you need to appoint based on merit. You need to put merit first before appointing your executors. How do we mean? I will give you a couple of items for you, as a guide for you to know who you should pick or appoint as your executors when you're talking about merit. Now, you need to consider asking yourself these questions. Can I trust this person to have my interest at heart after my death? What level of trust can you repose in this person? Can you say that this person would look after you, would look after your children, would have your interest at heart? If your answer is not certain, then you may have to reconsider that person. You may have to reconsider and look out for someone else to appoint as your executor. Another question you want to ask yourself is, will he or she be available to attend to the responsibilities of an executor? It can be very daunting, a task, particularly when the estate is a complex one, when there are several investments, several properties, several royalties in that estate. So you don't want to consider someone who is rarely available. Yes, this person can be your best friend, but what is the nature of this person's activities as of today? Does this person run his own business that makes him have less time for anyone? Is he so busy? And would you like to appoint someone like that as your executor? Would the person really have the time? You don't want to appoint an executor that at the end of the day, the person would resign from that position, from that office as an executor. And so you need to also ask yourself, is the person compassionate and kind? Is the person kind-hearted? Is the person soft in heart? When we say soft, we do not mean weak. Does the person have sympathy? Does the person have empathy? So you don't want to consider someone that is very cantankerous, very problematic, very troublesome. This person can be your brother, it can be your sister, it can be your uncle, it can be your son, it can be your daughter. But you must be sure, at least, ask yourself and answer the question, is this person compassionate and kind? Your executor should be able to exude or exhibit some level of kindness and compassion in order to be able to distribute your estate fairly. Another question you want to ask yourself is, how patient is the person that you're considering for this role? Some people will just give up that role, resign, and move on with their lives. We've seen that in several occasions, where some people say, okay, I never knew that this responsibility was this tedious. I would rather just resign and move on. And to all intents and purposes, they do not mean harm. They rather just discovered that it is more demanding than they thought. So you want to really confirm all of this if this person is quite patient and accommodating. Another question you want to ask yourself is the person a peacemaker? Yes, the person might have several other qualities, or the person might be available when it comes to time. The person might be gentle and all of that, but some people cannot actually make peace with people. How do we mean? Some people cannot bring people together to resolve issues. Rather, they work based on sentiments and biases. You don't want to appoint someone like that. Don't forget, all these are guidelines that you need to follow, you need to consider. Another question you want to ask yourself is the person that you're considering for this role dedicated and detailed enough? Can this person exhibit some level of dedication and detail? So you don't want to appoint someone that is very, very scattered and not put together. You want to appoint someone that can manage, that can arrange, can organize people, can organize things, can organize situations. You want to consider such people, Then you also want to ask yourself, what is the person's attitude towards you currently and towards your family? If the person's attitude towards you and your family currently is something you want to talk about, something that is scary, alarming, are you sure you really want to put someone like that, at the end of affairs to manage and distribute your estate to your beneficiaries? It's something that you really need to consider. Another question you would also like to ask yourself is, if the person is known and loved by your families, or rather, if the person is known and loved by your family, you really want to answer these questions. Sometimes your family might have very, very, very negative sentiments towards a particular person, and you decide to care less and appoint this person to be at the helm of affairs, to distribute and to be able to distribute your assets and to be able to call them and put them together. The answer may be a no, because they might not want to listen to the person or take I don't want to call it instructions, but they don't want to yield to what the person is saying. They don't want to they would refuse to be organized by this person or to be coordinated by this person. Another level of guideline that we would like to introduce at this point is, you really may just want to consider appointing a company or a corporate, as we will call it. There are specific companies that perform the responsibility of an executor. So estate planning companies perform this role as well to help you distribute your assets. So the beautiful thing about appointing companies is that, okay, companies are not easily susceptible to sudden death. If you appoint an individual can just die suddenly, but companies don't really die like that, where people come and people go, but the company still remains. So the instruction or the appointment is to the company, not the people in the company. Yes, company can stay for a longer time, and companies really just do their work because they see it as a responsibility, and companies do not really get biased when it comes to doing the work. That's one of the differences between appointing an individual and appointing a company. At this point, we hope that you've gotten a few things from this presentation, and we believe that you are now properly guided when it comes to deciding who your executors should be. You can reach out to us through our email address, website, phone numbers, even on our social media platforms. The links are provided below for you to reach out. We will be willing to take any questions that you have. Thank you for watching this. We shall be coming back with more insightful videos. Thank you.